on this date, this place, and I am a survivor.
My name is Greg I was born on April 13th, 1941, in Vilnius, which used to be Vilna at that time, and I'm a survivor.
Cool. All right, so what we're going to do now is, if you don't mind, spend some time, as much time as you want, as little time as you want, talking about your mother and father before everything started. And once you're done with there, we'll go to the next topic. You cool? Good.
Okay. My mother, Rose Katz, was born in western Ukraine, which at that time was part of the Poland, in the village of Kolki. She had a sister, she had a brother. I don't know much details about her family, but her dream was to become a doctor. So she moved to Vilnius, or at that time it was Vilna because it was part of Poland, to study medicine. My father's family was in Vilna. I don't know details about their trade, but it was typical Jewish religion family. Remnants of that family still are spread all over the world, which is very, very unusual. A lot of perish in Holocaust, but few remain alive even today. But they call my father black sheep of the family because from youth he was interested in freedom and equality and so on, so on. So eventually he became involved in politics and became member of Communist Party. He was very active and especially he was leading young generations. They followed him willingly. And eventually he was arrested and sentenced for 10 years in Polish prison as political prisoner. He spent 6 years in prison and was released. I don't know exactly when they got married. I know only that they dated for some time, and one day my mother met my father. I guess they were not married at that time, crying, and my father asked, what happened? She says, all the money my family sent me for months was stolen from me. Whatever it was, 10 zlot or whatever it was at that time. So, and my father being born in Vilna and active among young people, he knew everyone. Says, hold on. He knew leaders of Jewish underground, criminal underground. So he went to leader and says, listen, you're robbing my fiancé. Oh, how come? Come back tomorrow. So my father went back tomorrow, and that guy gives him 9 out of 10. Sorry, one already was spent. So this is a funny story. But eventually they got married. I don't know exactly when. When Germany invaded Soviet Union, my father and mother decided to escape out of Vilna, and they managed to reach Minsk, which is in White Russia. But when they got to Minsk, it was already occupied by Germans. And my father was immediately arrested and taken somewhere. My mother carrying me in her arms. I was 3 months old, and she didn't know where they took my father, but she was tall, blonde, and absolutely fluent in German. So somehow she found out that everyone who was arrested was kept outside of the city in simplest camp, just surrounded by barbed wire. At that time, camps were guarded by Wehrmacht, by regular army, not SS, just regular soldiers. And policy was, if woman comes and says, "This is my husband," they released him. It's fact proven in newspapers and in books. And in this way, many prisoners were saved by white Russian women who were just pointing on persons that this is my husband. And they were released, even it was not her husband. But to my mother, Father Luck, she showed that this is my husband. Okay, we will release him. Eventually, they put together a column of people who are supposed to be released and led them through the cities. And my father told me that we didn't know this is good or this is bad, where they were leading us. And suddenly they noticed that one guard turned around and walked back, another guard turned around and walked back, and eventually that column was walking in the street without guards. So they just dispersed, and that's it. So my mother and father went to train station trying to get back to Vilna. Trains mostly were only military, very few civilians, and they were packed. Suddenly, some German officer noticed them and came and said, "What you're doing here?" And he spoke to my mother, and she says, "We're trying, going back to Vilna." "And who is this man?" "It's my husband." "So how come you, Volksdeutsch, married Jew?" She says, "No, I'm not Volksdeutsch, I am Jewish." "Don't tell me, I see that you are Volksdeutsch." Because she was blonde and she was speaking fluent German. He managed to get them into train, and they ended up in Vilna. And this is already story of them getting into ghetto, because when they got back to Vilna, already first Vilna ghetto was created, which was liquidated in a few months.